All right, so now we're going to export our stuff out of here, and to get our textures out of here, we need to have them set up for what type of file we want to set them up for. In this case, we're going to go into Unity, so we're going to set up our export for Unity, HDRP, because that's the better looking of the Unity versions, and that's what we're going to end up setting it up for. But we also want to make some custom changes to that, so I want to show you how to do that. I want to show you how to export it out of here, and then we'll go into Max and set up the material inside of there. So after I have it all set up, let's say I have it the way I like it and everything like that, then I'm going to come up to here and I'm going to say save, no, I'm going to say export textures. By the way, the shortcut for that is Control-Shift-E, which is what absolutely I use usually, but I'll show you there. So if you look in here right off the bat, it always sets this up to the default, and we can probably change that sometime. So you want to make sure you go to the proper place you're putting it, and in this case I'll just go to the and classes and Spring 22 and 3D Mar 1 and week 6, and make a new folder, call it textures, just like that, and we'll throw it in there, and I'll say select folder. So that's set up. And then by default, it's going to set out to these document channels, which is basically these channels, the ones you bake. If you look in here, you'll see it's base, color, metallic, roughness, normal, height, emissive, DirectX, all these kinds of different things. It's a little bit different than the basic. I actually guess you'd have to do... maybe they don't have it anymore. Anyway, we are going to do that. We're going to come down in the list and find our Unity metallic standard. Okay, Unity HD render pipeline metallic standard. And we're going to make a new one like I did here, but for now we're going to grab that. And I'm going to show you what that is. If I open it up, it comes out with this. I hate the way it cuts it off, but if you roll over it, it'll tell you. It's going to come out with $mesh, $texture set, underscore base map, and then a bunch of other stuff too. And if I go to the next one, it says the same thing, except for it says mask map, and this one says normal, and this one says emissive. Okay, so we're going to go over what the mask map is more when we get into Substance, or when we get into Unity, but for now, just leave it default on there. But we don't need the emissive, and technically we want to change a couple of other things. What you're seeing here with this $sign is it's taking information from the mesh in this case and saying, so if the mesh is Gladius, it's going to say Gladius, and then it's going to say underscore, and it's going to have the texture set, which in this case is probably going to be Gladius. So here, let me save settings real quick. Come up here, and it's sword. So we'll change this to Gladius, like that. So when I export it, it will say the mesh name Gladius, the texture set Gladius, so it's Gladius underscore basemap.png. So one of the things I do is I always take out that mesh because I don't need my mesh to be identified. The texture name should have what the mesh is, or at least it should be identified easily between whatever it's going to be used on. So I want to take that $sign off. So to do that, I go to the output templates and I look in here, and I can find this PBR metallic standard. And this is all the information right here. These are those maps that are going to be exported. I don't want to overwrite this one. I'm not actually sure why I don't want to overwrite this one, but I never really do overwrite this one. I always make my own custom one. So to do that, you start with the standard. You grab that one you want, and then you just copy it. After you copy it, you can rename it to whatever you want. 3D, and I'll just call it crap, so I delete it. Okay. And then we come into here, and all we have to do, all I really want you to do at this point is come in here and take that underscore out and delete it. And come in here and take this underscore out and delete it. Take this underscore out and delete it. And take this underscore out and delete it. And that's it. I don't want you to change much more than that. I just want you to know how to do this too. And then I'm going to come back in here, and what I can do now is I go back to global settings. I can say metallic standard. Or what do I want? Well, it's actually usually put in alphabetical order, but when I just made that one, it's going to be at the bottom no matter what. So it's right here is crap. And if we look at it, now it's going to say texture set base map. So it's going to be Gladius because it's the name of the texture set, and base map. It'll be Gladius mask map, Gladius normal mapping, and then gladius emissive. So that's all I'm looking at to do. I also want to make sure that it's based on the output template. So whatever I set that to be, it's by default, it's going to be just a PNG. So that's fine. I'm going to say based on the texture size, which should be 2048, whatever I set here. So it's 2048. Whatever it says here is the size it's going to export it out as. And then it's going to say dilation infinite. And dilation is a basically once it reaches the edge of the UVs where it's baking the textures or it's making the textures, it takes that last pixel for every pixel it goes around and it bleeds it out. And you used to do this by hand, and we used to do this in Photoshop, and that happens so you don't get these weird lines and edges and weird places on 3D objects where the seams of the textures are. Infinite just means it's going to keep taking that one pixel out until it hits either another pixel coming from a different island, or it hits the edge of the canvas. So that's why when you look at this, when we're done, I'll show it to you. It's just this big, looks like a splatter of lines across it. So we'll just say that, and then we say if you want to change anything, or if you want to keep this but you need to change your name or whatever, make sure you say save settings, otherwise it resets it to where it is. So then you just say export. It's not saving it forever, it's just saving it for this file. Export, and it sends them all out, and we should get, well, I guess I have an emissive, I forgot. We do have an emissive, so there you go. Emissive, normal, mask map, and it's all really short. You don't need to make the names long just because you can. So close that up, and let me open up what it exported out here. Here it is. And then if I do it this way, this is what they look like. If I go in here and say view and say extra large. So this is my mass map. Don't worry about this. This is supposed to look like a kaleidoscope thing. This is my normal that it output, and this is my gladius base. And see all these little stripes? If I double click this, maybe it'll come up down here. Of course it won't. I'll pull it down. You can look down here and find that last pixel. It's just dragging out that color itself. The last pixel, it just drags it out. And it's infinite, so it'll go to the edge or it'll go till it hits something else. So that's all that means. Like this is gold, so it just keeps going gold. So when you see the word infinite, that's all it's talking about. And here's my emissive map. And that's it. That's all you have to do is export those out. Make sure you name your object correctly. Export them as a PNG. Get rid of the mesh name and have it really simple. That way you have a really easy way to keep track of what's going on.